Hello and welcome to 100% Real with Ruby. Today I have PJ Street with me and I'm kind of surprised I haven't heard him pop up as recently as I believe he should, because he has invaluable things to speak about on his, I would say Twitter, but most people are on Instagram, but he puts up so much more on Twitter. And it's just blatant facts that fat loss and achieving your goal body doesn't have to be as hard as everyone makes it out to be, but it gets harder like when we expect it to happen within like 12 weeks. We expect our goal body to happen in 12 weeks. And then the before and afters have us in such a warped view of the realities of how fast fat loss happens. And the smaller you are, the more unrealistic it is to lose like 1 kilo / half a pound per week consistently. Like, it doesn't just work that way. But I've mentioned this a million times already in most of my other podcasts, that you start off with good intentions. You start off with the intent of, hey, let's lose weight, let's get on the scales, this is working, blah, blah, blah. But then you get carried away with that direction, that you kind of forget the why on why you started. So you keep pushing and you keep pushing, and you expect to get the same returns for your investment. Only it doesn't really work that way. And you're too scared to then start eating more. And then as soon as the scale fluctuates, you throw your hands up in the air. So I guess that's a great way to introduce PJ and let him speak to you about his take on how long it realistically takes and why you will never get your goal body in 12 weeks, let alone one fat loss phase, 16 weeks.
Thanks a lot for having me, Ruby. That's a great intro.
Are we lagging?
You were a little lagged there. I'm sorry. Can we continue? You have to do that over again.
That is so weird. Yeah, just
kind of blocked out for a second. I don't know what happened.
That was interesting. Well, I was just talking about taking it away with the unrealistic expectations of fat loss, and
yeah,
your view on that.
Yeah, so I think before we start in on that, if somebody is embarking on a fitness journey, whatever you want to call it, if your intention is, and this is where people get it wrong, if your intention is not to develop a new identity and lifestyle, a fitness-oriented lifestyle, don't even do it. Because if you're going to go on a diet with a finite beginning and ending point, you're setting yourself up to fail. And Ruby, I heard you on Sam Forget's podcast, and you talked about you have to update your default hardware, I believe you put it. I thought that was a brilliant way to put it, because ultimately you do have to develop. I'm not saying that you need to, fitness has to be your whole life, and your diet has to be your whole life. It doesn't have to be your entire identity, but it does in fact have to become a big part of your identity. And you have to embrace that lifestyle. So that's where people really go wrong. And if you're not prepared to do that, and as you put it, update your default hardware, I really just recommend people don't even get started unless you have that mindset going into this process. It's not just, oh my God, I feel disgusting and I need to shave off 10, 15, 20 pounds, for the beach in 3 months or whatever. If that's the way you think, you're ultimately going to spin your wheels for the rest of your life. So you have to get, everybody, this is cliched, but you really have to dig deep and get your, again, cliched, why established. Okay. And to me, people always ask me, I'm having a hard time finding my why for going to the gym and eating right. I'm like, look, it's real easy. Fitness and nutrition are force multipliers in your life, period. They make you a better spouse, a better husband, wife, a better friend, a better employee, a better business owner. You have more confidence, you look better, you feel better, you're more productive. If that's not a big enough general why for you, then I frankly don't know what to tell you. So you need to go into the fat loss process with the mindset, again, this is going to be, this is not a diet, a crash diet or a 6-week diet where it's just about the weight loss and a temporary aesthetic improvement. I am changing my identity and my habit system. And again, as you said, my default hardware permanently. Okay. And changing adult behavior is very hard. There's no question about it. You know, if you're a 30, 40, 50-year-old person who is so set in their ways and has been executing all of these certain set of habits, poor habits, for years and decades on end, man, it takes a lot of time. It just takes a lot of time to develop a new habit system. And so you really have to embrace that mindset and embrace that long game process if you are going to succeed with this. Period, bottom line. And in terms of, you know, expectations is where other people go wrong. The expectations are so warped versus, you know, reality versus what most people think. I need to be losing, I should be losing 2 pounds a week. I should be losing. Look, if you're a obese 200+ pound person or 300-pound person, losing 2 pounds a week may be reasonable for you for a little while. Okay, but the people that I deal with, and I think you as well, Ruby, most of my clientele is, I'd say 70% female. It's all kind of the same story. It's your 30 to 55, 60-year-old woman who's 140 to 180 pounds. And, you know, that's the demographic. And I have to explain to folks all the time, look, man, a reasonable amount of weight loss, fat loss, is going to, if you can target a 0.5 pound a week on average, that doesn't mean some weeks it's more, some weeks it's less, some weeks you blow it and you gain. But if on average over the course of a year, you can drop a mere 0.5 pound of fat, that's 26 pounds of fat in a year. And that's the fitness and body transformation that all these specifically females in that weight range, that's what they want. Well, you can have it if you embrace this long game process. And again, 0.5 pound a week on average will put you right where you want to be at the end of a year. So you really have to think along those lines, because, you know, look, you want to lose 2 pounds a week and you're a 150-pound female or whatever. Do you want to eat 900 calories and do 2 hours of cardio a day? Because that's honestly probably what it's going to take for you to lose weight at that rate. We all know that that's completely unsustainable to even approach. So it really comes down to, again, having the mindset that you are updating your hardware, you're making a fitness lifestyle part of who you are, what you do, part of your identity, and then getting your expectations in line to play a very long, consistent game. Because if you can nail this, if you can take a year of your life, first of all, the slower the better, in my opinion. If it takes you a year, that's great. You know why? Because you're going to establish an entirely new habit system versus the one that you spent, you know, 10, 20, 30 years on the other end of the spectrum with poor habits. If you take a year and do it, then the habits get ingrained. Now your hardware is updated to the new iOS version, right? And so it really, it's the slower the better, in my opinion. Devote a year to your life, get it right, and you'll never have to do it again. But you have to embrace that long game perspective with this stuff.
Yeah, I also think that with the, like, especially that there's more access and a lot more people coming onto like Instagram lately and TikTok especially. Like TikTok is mostly young people who don't really have lives outside of like filming 15-minute clips and spending their lives in the gym, that Sally down the street expects that she should be able to get the same results as all these people on her feed, when realistically they don't have the same life responsibilities as you do. And you mentioned this really well as well, in that if you're already finding it really hard to try to find a maintenance level of your calories, do you really think that slashing them to what you think they should look like on a 1,200 calorie diet is going to make you any more consistent. I also think that at the start, a lot of people lack the will to just take some time to get some planning, some preparation in place, and develop, I guess, if you can't raise your ceiling, raise your floor. So at least develop a level to fall to that allows you to at least do the minimum needed when shit hits the fan. Because sometimes it may not seem like you're doing a lot in the moment, because you're probably not really doing a lot compared to what you think you should be doing. But that's still a hell of a lot more than just factory resetting your phone and going back to doing nothing. Like, if you can at least develop those minimum habits, which will be your updated settings, and you can like update your phone and fall back to these settings if your phone crashes it is still a hell of a lot better than running on what there was before. But I do love the post that you put up about the fact that like, if you think about it in days terms, 290 days out of a year,
That's it.
It allows you. I always say I don't give a shit what you do on Christmas, on your birthday, and on Easter. They're 3 days of a year where you can enjoy yourself. Like, I rather you not plan in all these other events, because life is going to hand them to you. There is going to be something handed to you where shit hits the fan and then you're like, oh, I can't control my food. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter if you're still consistent the other days. But it's not just the unrealistic expectations of how fast you should lose fat, but it's unrealistic expectations on how people think they should go about it. And also, I guess, being freaking perfect. People think that you need to be perfect all of the time. So
yeah, on that, just piggybacking on what you're saying here. First of all, a lot of people, what's the saying? People don't. I always say, or I've heard, it's don't allow perfection to be the enemy of good enough, or something along those. And it's true. It's like you can still do something. I mean, well, I'll write a training program for somebody. I can't do all 4 days this week. I'm like, all right, do 2. Yeah, but it's not 4 and it's not good enough. No, it's 2's better than 0. 1's better than 0. I only have 20 minutes. That's fine. Go in, shave, do 1 hard set of each exercise in your workout. That's fine. Take it close to muscular failure. Plenty of mechanical stimulus on your muscles. So that in itself is a problem. It's like, well, if I can't do it perfectly, I can't do it at all. And I think that whole perfectionism thing is a cop out that people have. Well, this is just how I am. I'm a perfectionist. I'm either all in or all out. I'm like, that's bullcrap. That's a justification for your behavior. It's like, if I can't do it perfectly, I don't do it at all. It's just, I've always been that way. I'm like, that's a cop out. It's a total cop out. But also, I want to hit on this, that post I made about 290 days. Do you know why I chose 290? Because that's 80% of the year. That's roughly 80% of 365. So I always try to, with my clients, I always try to get this into their head. Embarking on a fat loss journey is not quote unquote diet prison, right? It's not, because again, I came up with a spreadsheet, and all my clients are required weekly to update it. I call it the off-plan nutrition tracker. It's probably not the best name in the world, but that's what I came up with. And I went through the calendar year. I came up with every holiday, 2 weeks of vacation, birthdays, spouses' birthdays, kids' birthdays, anniversaries, Super Bowl Sunday, Mardi Gras. I mean, you name a special occasion that people celebrate worldwide. And it came up to like 80 days a year. And I'm like, if that is your idea of diet prison and that's not enough fun for you, you got problems way bigger than food. I mean, that's the fitness lifestyle. It's not what you do all the time. It's what you do the majority of the time. Why? Because it's a good way to live. It's a force, again, going back to what I said, it's a force multiplier in your life. So there's nothing that somebody can't enjoy on a fat loss journey, fitness journey. There's nothing that someone can enjoy, provided that it is worth enjoying and it is actually special. And this is a problem people have. They cannot decipher what's a special occasion and what's not. Period. Monday, I made it through Monday, tough day at work. I adulted today. I'm going to come home and crack open a bottle of wine, right? Tuesday, oh, it's Taco Tuesday. You got to do that. Oh, it's Wine Wednesday. Oh, Thursday, after my kids' basketball practice, the parents are going out for beers. Friday, oh, it's Friday. I made it through the week. We're going to go out and crush a dinner and have 16 drinks. Saturday, it's Saturday brunch, it's Sunday fun day. And it's not an exaggeration. That's how a lot of people live their life, right? That's ridiculous. And if you think you can pull that off and get what you say you want, you are dead wrong. So it comes down to choosing. Andrew Coates said something, you have to plan your imperfection. I think it was something along those lines. And it's absolutely true. People are wasting their imperfection with their nutrition specifically on stuff that it's not even worth celebrating, So it's like, if it's a special occasion, don't track your food, have fun food. Don't go out of your way to eat, like you only live once and you're going to try to intentionally eat 10,000 calories. But if you can minimize that to 70, 80 days a year, and all the other days, you're tracking accurately. We can talk about tracking. We can talk about qualitative versus quantitative dieting. If you're tracking your food intake, you're using food scales, you're scanning barcodes, you're reading labels, you're not crossing a calorie threshold for the day or for a week. If some people like to stagger their calories. If you're doing that 80% of the year, you will have the fitness transformation that you want. But you have to accept the opportunity costs and trade-offs and sacrifices involved in that, because there's just a great deal of incongruence with what people say they want versus what they are willing to do. Period. End of story. It's like, look, you don't really get to choose how you do this. There's a way to do it. We know how to do it. There's not a code to crack in terms of how to lose fat and how to get fit. We've known how to do this for decades. I mean, all the evidence is out there. It's like, there's not some code to crack, or I can't figure it out. No, it's real simple. And it mostly is rooted in intense consistency with nutrition. And that means tracking, which I'll go off on a rant here. People always say, oh, tracking is just so obsessive and it's so tedious. And it's so hard. Tracking your nutrition intake is not hard. It is tedious for sure, especially at first, but it's not hard. Like doing manual labor in 120, 115 degree heat in the middle of August is hard. Doing 20 rep squats to failure is hard. Scanning a barcode on a packaged food, or putting a chicken breast on a food scale and doing third grade math, which the nutrition tracking apps do it for you anyway, that's not hard. That's just tedious, period. So, and that's the other thing, Ruby. It's like, I've been on a roll of posts about this. It's like, people, when they decide that, okay, I'm going on a diet, it's usually this qualitative stuff. I'm going to try to watch my portions. I'm going to try to eat a little healthier. I'm going to try to do better. I'm going to, try to minimize my fast food intake. I'm going to try to eat more fruits and vegetables. All that qualitative stuff is great. And I think it can be a good place to start for people, but you have to understand, if you have like serious fat loss and body composition goals, that type of stuff has a very short shelf life and a very quick point of diminishing returns.
I also do want to say on that note, because you mentioned clean food, a lot of people don't actually understand what clean food is. I went on a massive rant about this, about people that are hacking bloody like brownies and stuff, adding in dates and like date syrup and like organic non-sugar maple syrup. But it's like, that is still sugar. Like, people don't even understand what clean and healthy food are for the most part. And then if you actually look at girl groups, which obviously you don't, but inside some girl groups, they literally stress out about the fact, like there's about 10 posts from the same person in the span of a month saying, I'm working so hard, I'm not seeing results. But I would say that is a lot more obsessive than actually realizing it doesn't have to be that hard if you stop wanting results yesterday. And you say that all the time. Like, I have this post up that I really wanted to read out that you wrote that links onto what you were talking about. Getting and staying fit is really just a matter of winning a lot more days, weeks, and months than you lose.
It is.
Consistency over time compounds, but people aren't okay with slipping up. They like, it's like you've been slipping up most of your life, and now you're slipping up, say, 3 times a week, and then you slip up twice a week. But you fail to account for the fact that you're actually winning now a lot more times than you used to win, yet you keep bashing yourself up the same way. It's a matter of just like zooming the fuck out and realizing, as PJ said, this is a lifestyle thing. And if you keep rushing it, how the heck are you going to maintain it?
Exactly. And again, if you have the mentality that I'm changing my lifestyle, period, this is going to become part of my identity, then you eliminate all the deadlines, right? Because if it's a permanent change, permanent is permanent. That means you don't have to, I have to be down 10 pounds in 6 weeks, or I have to be, okay, I get this all the time. I hate weight loss goals, by the way, and I go over this with my clients. I got to go, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in 5 weeks. Okay, well, first of all, you're 134 pounds. I mean, be prepared to starve yourself. Okay, number 2, what if you only lose 6? What are you going to say? Well, that sucks, and quit. And this is how people think. And it's really, it's unfortunate. And it's all this stuff under the hood. And look, I don't blame people necessarily for these warped expectations, because if you look at the way that fitness and nutrition has been marketed for 50, 60 years, I understand why the typical consumer with no education in this, why they fall prey to those type of that type of thinking about, and expectations. You look at, people watch The Biggest Loser. They think that that's what should be going on. And that's as far from the truth as could possibly be. If you're a typical female in that, I don't know, again, that 130, 140 to 180 range, if you're dropping 0.5% of your body weight per week, you are doing unbelievable, like unbelievable. So, a 130-pound woman who's dropping 0.5 pound, 3/4 pound a week, that's unbelievable progress. And again, extrapolate that out. That's 26 pounds in a year. Do you even have 26 pounds to lose if you're 134? No, you do not. So again, it's like taking something from Susan Niebergall. You have to have your logical voice trump your emotional voice. And it's a hard thing to do when you have to practice it, but it's true.
I have a little saying on that as well. When emotion wins, you lose. But when logic wins, you win.
True. 100% the case.
Yeah, I want to go back to the weight thing, because you said something amazing on Ali's podcast. Not a person has come to us saying, I want to look like this body, or I want this weight. I want to lose this much weight, and ever got to that weight feeling happy with their body. Because if you're not, something I always talk about is, if you're not enjoying the process there, and if you're making it more tedious than it needs to be, if you're rushing it, and if you're putting all your expectations on getting everything you want once you reach that end goal, you're going to feel so empty. And it's almost like, as I mentioned on the last podcast, it's almost like post-wedding blues. It's almost like post-comp prep blues. Because now what? It's kind of like The Biggest Loser. That is, you brought up such a great example. That is actually the perfect example of going back to your default settings. They updated their hardware so much while they were under the pump, but then they went back to their families, their old environment. That was their default settings, and their default settings were bullshit. Like, right. Maybe you can actually bring in the environmental piece here as well. Like, you make it easier for yourself by updating your environment, but also touching on the fact that your goal weight doesn't always mean that it's going to be your goal body, because you could wake up with starting to feel a lot more confident in your body, nowhere near your weight goal. but still have a lot more to go that actually requires you to build a lot more muscle, which weighs something before you go back into a fat loss phase again. Like you can't just keep hammering the nail in one direction.
Yeah, precisely. And I always try to ingrain this in my client's head. Don't think weight loss program, think body composition enhancement program. You know, and because that's really what we're after, right? And to your point, I've never had a client who had a specific goal weight in mind. And by the way, I never encourage, you know, I was on a call earlier with a client prospect, and I'll ask her, I'm like, okay, do you have a weight in mind that you like? And it was like, you know, it was like 30% less than what she currently weighed, and she was like 150 pounds. I'm like, no. 5 to 10% weight loss, and this is something I wanted to talk about actually. Again, about expectations. I did a post on this the other day. Successful weight loss, medically and scientifically defined, right? Not what you think or what Woman's World magazine cover says. Medically and scientifically, and this comes from Spencer Nadolsky, who's one of the best and brightest obesity physicians in the world. 5 to 10% of your starting body weight lost in a year and kept off is considered successful weight loss. So think about that, right? If you're a 200-pound person and you drop 20 pounds over the course of a year, you are a success story. I mean, think about that. That's very, very doable. But if most people, you know, if most people, you know, knew somebody that lost 20 pounds and started out at 200, they'd be like, well, you know, that's pretty good, but you know, I have a lot, you know, that person has a lot more to lose. That's not that great. No, that's like the impact on your metabolic health, dropping 5-10% of your body weight is massive. Here's another thing about expectations. Everybody's so like concerned about how far away they are from like quote unquote dick skin lean or ultra ripped or shredded. It's like, look, man, you're like, if you're a guy like who's 35% body fat, look, just try to get down under 20, and like it's going to be life changing. Your biomarkers are going to be so much better. You don't have to be shredded with veins in your abs. Just be healthy, because you're a real world person. And everybody is trying to lose fat and improve their fitness, improve their body in the context of a normal adult life. Competing demands, jobs, kids, marriage, social events, vacations. The pipe dream of being single digit body fat or whatever else, it's not for everybody. And I'll tell you, because I get occasionally this lean, it's not fun. And it's also not, it's terrible. And it's also no way sustainable. It's like, okay, I want to look like this. Okay, you probably can if you're willing to do what's required and necessary. But once you get there, you're going to find out real fast there's no way to stay there. And I think that's the other problem, Ruby, is that people's idea of maintenance is so wacky.
Yes.
It's so wacky. It's like, okay, I have a goal, you know, if example female, I have a goal of being 14% body fat and whatever that weight, you know, whatever, 115 pounds, whatever. That's my goal. I'm going to get there. You ain't going to stay there. Okay. You're just, it's not healthy. It's not the least bit healthy. And it's not really even possible. So people always ask me, you know, they'll go through a fat loss phase and you know, I'll put them in maintenance. And first of all, when you go to maintenance calories, whether you do that through a reverse diet or not, or you just go right to maintenance calories, I frankly don't think it makes any difference. You're gonna have some scale weight gain. You just are. It's not body fat. It is simply weight. And people don't understand that body fat is not gained or lost quickly. It's just not. Body weight, absolutely. I mean, you will typically see 2 to 4 pound scale weight fluctuations, even if you're perfect with your diet throughout the week. This is why I have clients weigh in daily. So with weight loss, let's say you start out week one at, I don't know, 147 to 150 is your range, right? If 4 weeks later, the range is 143 to 146, and then 4 weeks later, it's 140 to 143. This is what you're looking for. You're always going to see these fluctuations regardless, but the trend over time should be going down. That's how you use the scale and how you really monitor progress. Okay, I went off on a tangent there. Going back to maintenance. Maintenance to me is, let's say, is basically keeping 80% of what you lost off year round. All right, so somebody loses, goes from 200 to 180, they lost 20 pounds. If they keep 16 of those off year round, they're maintaining, period. It's not, oh, I got to get down to 180 and be 10% body fat to stay there or I'm failing. No, that's not maintenance at all. Okay. And to your point, getting the ideal physique is, number one, a glacial process that takes years, I mean, maybe even decades. And it's alternated between periods of fat loss, maintenance calories, maybe surplus calories. Most women can gain muscle and get a lot stronger just fine on maintenance calories, by the way. They don't need to be in some extreme calorie surplus. But it's really alternating building phases, cutting phases. And each time you go back and forth from one to the other, you end up with a net gain. Your body composition is better. But that might take 10 years to get the ideal physique that you're looking for within your genetics and without using drugs. And that it really is. It's a labor of love, and it's really a lifelong process. And you're not going to get there in one fat loss phase. You are not. Unless you were carrying a lot of muscle already and just got fat, it's going to take a long time, because you will only gain muscle at a certain rate, period.
I love that. And because you can't see what PJ was doing, he was literally just mimicking like the waves of the ocean going to shore and then back into the ocean, to the shore, and then back to the ocean, because that's literally what it's like. Like, you need to go through those cycles, because our body is an adaptive specimen, so to speak. It adapts to anything that you give it. And like I was talking about on the other podcast, we have metabolic phenotypes. Some people adapt a lot quicker to the stimulus that they're given with extra calories or a deficit. And that means that they'll either have to cut their calories even more, or they'll have to eat even more to get to a building/maintenance range. But something that I loved what you said, which I've been actually harping on about since 2016, is how much I hate bulking and cutting cycles, especially for females. I've always hated the word bulking. And when I see it, it grinds my gears when females are saying it, because it's taken into the context of, oh, we just need to like put on a whole heap of muscle. It's like, you can't force feed muscle. And it's rare enough to find females training hard enough to even warrant the amount of food that people try to shovel into their mouths. Like, something that I heard on another podcast, which I can't remember how he said it, but I kind of framed it my own way, which is, you can be 80% consistent with your food and stop worrying about all the meticulous shit and put all of the energy and focus from that meticulous shit into training a lot more harder, training with a lot more intent, because that is what builds your body. And looking like, because a lot of people listening to this know what my legs look like, for example, and I will always bring up my legs because that's what people always say. They want the striations in my legs or whatever it is they say. It's like, I'm not actually that lean now. I was leaner before, but my legs still look freaking lean because there's a shitload of muscle in them. Like, that's not because I'm dieting, and it's not because I have low body fat. I had lower body fats where I looked so much leaner all over my body. But the more muscle you build, the leaner you look, regardless of where your body fat is and where your body weight is. And like, this is why I tell my girls not to even weigh themselves, because so many women get hissy fits the second they see the scale fluctuate. It's insane. Like, even the slightest, like even 100 grams, because of the grams here, that's like 200 grams there. People here freak out over 100 grams, let alone 200, whatever the sub part of pounds is over there.
Yeah, it's I always tell, this is how I handle, because I probably do this 5 times a day with clients with the scale weight thing. because I have them weigh in daily, and I see it on my app. I look at everybody's check-ins, and people will freak out because their scale weight's up 1.5 pounds overnight, which again, 2 to 4 pounds a week fluctuation is totally normal, totally normal. So I just, again, going back to logic, I say, look, do me a favor, multiply your current body weight times 14. Okay, what you weigh today times 14, and then add about 5,000 calories to that. Okay, did you eat that amount of food yesterday? Well, no, then you did not gain 1.5 pounds of body fat overnight. Okay, because that's what it would take, and you probably would have thrown up before you even got halfway through that. So again, logic, body weight will come on and off very, very fast. Body fat takes a while to gain or lose. Okay, period. And Ruby, to your point, again, talking about this whole thing of periods of maintenance, and absolutely, if you have like higher end physique goals, you got to understand there are times where your training is the primary driver of your physique enhancement. There are other times where your nutrition is the primary driver of your physique enhancement. Okay, and there are, again, you alternate cycles like that. And you have to accept, again, using this phrase, the opportunity cost and trade-offs of any phase in your physique journey, right? When you're cutting, the nice thing is you see the scale weight coming off, you see the leanness coming in, but you're hungry as hell, you're tired, your workouts are crap. You probably even think you look smaller, not as muscular, all that stuff. You have to accept the good stuff, getting leaner, dropping body fat, and you have to accept the bad stuff. Now, when you go into a maintenance calories or a slight surplus, training's great, you're getting stronger, you're adding muscle. The trade-off, you're going to get fluffier. You're going to put on some body fat. You have to be mentally okay with this and understand that, if you keep toggling, eventually, this is how people go from 160 pound female at 29% body fat to 160 pounds at 19% body fat, because they accept logically the journey and the trade-offs and opportunity costs and the good and the bad of any phase. And they'll do that for 2, 3, 4 years. And that's how somebody goes from literally dropping 10% body fat and being the same weight. It's that long game process of doing it for a half a decade. So I got a graphic pulled up right now. This is what makes me laugh about females who get scared about gaining muscle. If you look at, okay, let's say you've never lifted a weight before in your life. All right. Year one, if you're a female, and first of all, you have to train hard enough and actually know how to train hard, which that eliminates about 90% of people. A woman might gain 8 to 10 pounds of muscle year one, provided they're doing everything correctly. Not Orange Theory classes. And I'm talking about real strength training, right? Year two, that rate goes down to about 4 to 6 pounds. Year three, it's more like 1.5 pounds to 3 pounds. After that, we're talking about gaining grams of muscle tissue. So over the course of a female's entire life, they might be able to put on 15, 18 pounds of muscle. That's not going to turn you into the Incredible Hulk, right? But I think women have this perception in their head, like, oh, if I do sets of 8 to 10 and it's heavy and I'm struggling at the end of the set, I'm going to turn into, Miss Olympia. It's like, no, that's not, I wish that's how it worked. I mean, I've been trying to get too big and too muscular for damn near 30 years and it still hasn't happened. So it's, again, all these expectations that people have, this is why I'm just so big on education, because you have to get people to think differently about all this.
There's this post that I want to read out that you put up as well. I found it. If you want to become the overnight success story that people talk about, that overnight success story takes boring ass tedious work for a good year. Like, it actually takes a lot longer than you think to get these amazing transformations. And I'm bringing it back to this because I'm sick of it. Like, I know that it is so easy, even for trainers out there that want to make the quick buck. They can see how all these amazing before and afters are getting them a shitload of like signups and people on board and making them money. But then what happens after that? Like, yes, you can make crazy transformations in like 16 weeks, but 12 to 16 weeks of not updating everything else and actually knowing how to maintain it, and not actually like, I actually don't even think it's the fact that the approach is so much the bad thing here, because I did a post on this the other day. It's not about the unsustainable diets and workout programs. It's about the mindset of the person who's jumping to them, because we want things yesterday. And until you update that mindset, you can't blame the program. You need to take responsibility for the fact that you're the one signing up to stupid shit, because you are so impatient that you can't just do 80% most of the time of the year. Like, it actually is a lot more simple than you make it out to be. Simple doesn't mean easy. It is tedious at times, like PJ said, but like, it's ridiculous trying to just, you can't change the world, you need to change yourself. That kind of mentality where it's like, you need to change your mindset so that you actually take the right approach, and stop wanting, like, as soon as shit hits the fan, going back to your old settings of, oh, I need to like run this off, I need to just slash my calories the next day. And I really wanted to read out this post you put up. Every time you say, I feel like I should be losing weight faster, ensures you will be 1 pound heavier than you are now this time next year. And 1 pound, I would say that's actually being kind, because in between this year and next year, there's going to be a lot more opportunities where you probably try another quick fix, where you probably blow it and then say, fuck it. And then whatever else happens after that, you could end up 5 pounds heavier / 2.5 kilos heavier this time next year. And I see it as well, as not just you. And I've had 3 clients come back to me after leaving me, going on another like crazy ass diet. One of them went on a comp prep. And it's not that they came back to me worse than they started. It's that they came back to me with even worse mindsets than they started, the worst relationships with food. And it's just been work trying to get them okay with not being perfect now, and not trying to focus so much on the scale and how fat they feel and how fluffy they feel.
No, 100%. I mean, if to your point, if you can get great physical results if you can white knuckle it and put up with 6 or 8 or 10 weeks of hell. But if your body doesn't follow your mind, and your body doesn't, I'm sure your mind doesn't change with your body. If your mind doesn't follow your body, you're going to end up in a perpetual cycle of misery with your relation with food, with your results. You're going to yo-yo back and forth. So the mind has to change positively, just like the body is changing positive, in a positive way. And it, again, the longer it takes you to do this, the better, because you want to ingrain these new habit systems. You want to learn, you want to understand what you're doing, why this is happening. My best clients are the ones who start to get interested in this stuff. Literally, they want to know, wow, why'd you do that? Why'd you bump my calories? Why'd you lower my calories? Why is this program a little bit different in this way? They want to know, they want to understand. And I think that's critical. I'm not saying you got to become a fitness junkie and just live and breathe and be reading everything on fitness all the time, but I think it definitely helps to where it becomes kind of a hobby, to where you have genuine interest in it and the know-how and the why behind things. So yeah, I mean, it's the same expectations with fat loss. It's like, I'm looking at this graphic. Reasonable expectations for fat loss. Let's talk about it. If you're obese, 1 to 2 pounds a week, like I talked about that earlier, that's fine. If you're just overweight, okay, 0.5 pound to 1 pound a week, wonderful. If you're normal weight or on the leaner side, and for whatever reason, I attract a lot of clients who are like, their perceived floor is other people's ceilings, right? They come to me at 19% body fat or 18% body fat. And I'm like, and they'll, after 4 weeks, they're like, my God, I've like only lost 1 pound. I'm like, yeah, man, you weigh 119 pounds and you're already lean. Like, yeah, a 1/4 pound a week for you is about what it's going to be.
Unrealistic expectations, insert here again.
So yeah, it's everywhere. And so it's doing, as a coach, it's just, it's deprogramming and teaching people and having them understand what's reasonable, what's not reasonable, why it's reasonable or not reasonable, etc. So it's, I try to go, I can't remember who said it, but like with the nutrition coaching world, you have the big C coaches, the ones like us who educate or about, getting people to understand the process, making it a lifestyle. And then you have the little C who hands out competition prep diets that are 900 calories. Okay. I try to be the big C. And when a client signs up with me, there is a 10-day period of mandatory continuing education before we even do anything. They're required to watch videos, read stuff. We don't even get started until they have a foundation of the philosophy and what we're doing and why we're doing it. And we have some very well-established parameters in terms of what their responsiveness should be, what they should expect, what their compliance needs to be, etc. And again, Ruby, it's so, if you can do this stuff 290 days for a year, when I say do this stuff, it's real easy. You're going to, in terms of on paper, you're going to lift heavy ass shit 3 to 5 days per week. Okay. You're going to walk 8 to 10,000 steps per day, or, 70,000 for the week on average. You might do some zone 2, moderate intensity, lower intensity cardio, no more than 90 minutes a week. Notice I said no more than 90 minutes of cardio a week. Nobody has to do any more than that for any reason, period. In fact, I think more like 45 would be fine just for general heart health. Okay. And most importantly, you are going to quantify your nutrition intake at least 25 days a month. Yes, that means food scales. Yes, that means reading labels. Yes, that means scanning barcodes. Again, people talk about all this obscure crap. Well, I eat organic foods and I eat clean and I try to watch my portions. That doesn't guarantee any results whatsoever. How much are you eating? Well, I try to eat low carb. How many calories are you eating? That's it. Like, until you start telling me that, I'm so sick of people telling me what they eat and not how much they eat. I long for the day that somebody tells me, you know what, I eat on, in general, about 2,800 calories a day. And, I instead of giving me this laundry list of healthy foods that they buy from Whole Foods or whatever else, and, all the light beer that they're choosing instead of the normal craft beer, and how that should be causing them to lose weight. It's like, until you have a pulse, we're just talking about input and output systems. I know Paul Carter, who I really respect, he talks about it all the time. He's like, if you had a buddy who was $100,000 in debt and was constantly overdrafting their bank account, and you ask them, hey man, do you keep like any type of a budget? Like, do you know like what your expenses are? Do you keep tabs on that? No, man, I don't really pay attention to that. If the money's in my account, it's in the account. And if it's not, it's not. What would you say to a friend like that? Like, dude, you need to put pen to paper and start keeping track of your expenses. Keep track of your output, keep track of your input. It's the same thing with nutrition, right? What gets measured gets managed. And so with all the people who just constantly, I don't want to track my calories. It's tedious. It's too time consuming. It's this and that. It's obsessive. It's no more obsessive than keeping a budget. People who save money and live off of a budget and allocate their money into like envelopes for like different expenses, these people are applauded. Like, wow, they're really responsible. And boy, I wish, look at how wealthy they are. When it comes to nutrition, everybody's like, oh my God, calorie counting, you're going to have an eating disorder and this and that. And it's no, you're trying to avoid the hard work, period, because then the onus lies on you and personal responsibility.
I actually want to say it also is the mindset that you come to the tracking with, because if you're going to come to it and get so freaking anal and obsessive about it, well, duh. But because you are the master of making shit simple, which I freaking love because it's the way I approach things. Like, people, again, unrealistic expectations of what things should look like with all these like flavor gasms, people wanting orgasms in their mouth every single meal. People are complicating meals more than they need to be. Like, it's
ridiculous.
It's shit simple. Pick a protein source, pick a carb source. If you have carbs in that meal, pick a shitload of veggies, flavor it a little, voila, which brings us onto something that we both actually, it's not really put out there a lot, but it needs to be said a lot more on how to make really easy, effortless fat loss, and even just living lean in general. Like, you don't even need to think about adding fat sources to your food, because we get a lot of, like, you don't even have to go looking for fat and you will find your fat in your food. Like, once upon a time, probably I would fall on the 30 to 35 grams of fat. But now that I'm having like cocoa powder in my food, and my tuna bake is like got mozzarella in it now, and I'm having olives in my meals, like, I'm not even purposely adding that in. It's finding its way in. Like, and the other thing that I hate a lot is people saying that fats make you more satisfied. And I would say they do not.
Correct.
They are like they are the least satisfying. People say it because it slows your digestion down, but they are the most calorie dense. They are the least satiating. Most of the satiating foods, actually, I just realized the other day, they're actually carbs, like popcorn, legumes, whatever you want to call them.
White potato is the highest ranked food on the satiety index.
Yeah. So carbs, and they're 4 calories a gram. And I would say protein is actually the most satiating.
By far.
So protein, carbs, and sparsely put your fats in there. And it's like, Ruby, do you think that seeds are a good thing to snack on? I'm like, no. Like,
no, not at all.
Like 200 calories for a handful. Like, people warp what snacks are because seeds look tiny, nuts look tiny, but they're major in calories. Yeah, they're clean. Yeah, they're healthy. Going back to your point before, I'm just trying to clean up my diet. I just changed my crisps to nuts. Yeah, well, your choice to become healthier in that snack kind of just made you triple your calories. Like,
well, here's the deal. If your quote unquote healthy diet with all these, healthy fat sources and all this other organic stuff, if your healthy diet is causing you to continue to gain body fat, it's not a healthy diet anymore. Okay, it's just not. I don't care if you spend $400 a week at Whole Foods. If you are continually gaining weight on all your healthy, organic, good fat, oils and all this crap, if it's causing you to gain weight, I don't care, what healthy compounds are in your food. If it's damaging your metabolic health and it's causing increases in body fat, weight, blood pressure, cholesterol, insulin resistance problems, your healthy diet is no longer healthy. All right, it's just not. There's a nutrition professor, it was Mark Taub. He was famous for, this is 20 years ago, he did the Twinkie diet, where he ate out of a vending machine, all processed packaged foods out of a vending machine. The only thing he added was protein powder. Guy lost like 26 pounds and all of his health biomarkers improved, eating 90% processed foods for, I think, 3 months. So this whole idea of what's healthy and what's not, it's like, look, if you're continually gaining weight and body fat and you're over consuming calorie dense foods and over consuming calories consistently, and you're accumulating more and more body fat year in and year out, your healthy diet is not healthy. It's just not. So dietary fat, to your point, I'm not saying you have to never use direct sources of dietary fat, because I do occasionally, maybe 1 or 2 meals a week, if it's not like a planned day where I'm off my plan, obviously, but I don't go out of my way to use added dietary fat sources. I don't, because you can get adequate dietary fat hormonal for your hormone purposes through trace fats and carbs and protein. You just can. And it's because, again, going back to, if you're a smaller female, again, that 130, 140 to 170, 180 range, and you're trying to lose fat, and let's say your diet is, I don't know, I'm throwing out 1,500 calories, whatever. Man, if 30, 40% of your diet is being made up of dietary fat, the absolute volume of food that you're going to be able to consume is going to be minuscule. And you are going to be ravenous, unsatiated, and starving. Okay. So again, I just don't understand why people want to, eat 400 calories a day of peanut butter when their total calorie budget is 1,500. It's just a bad play.
I love that part. There's two things I actually want to touch on. I actually want to bring something Ali said in her podcast, because it's kind of the same as me, because we both went through this really sticky phase with Luke, where we found it really hard to just listen to what he said and eat more freaking food to get out of where we were being stuck. But it's like we were stuck on such low calories for such a long period of time without seeing changes when we were working our asses off. We were trying to eat the way that we thought we knew what was right to do, but it went against our logic of the fact that we wanted to get leaner. So we were working really hard, busting our asses, working really hard. It wasn't that we didn't want it bad enough. We were freaking smashing our asses. And then she was not losing fat on 1100 for her. I was not losing anything. And I actually felt like I was getting fatter on 1600 calories. But then we brought it up. We ate more. We fueled actually getting our bodies to a healthier range, getting our mindset out of that dieting range. And then she saw crazy ass fat loss on 1,500, on 1,300, on 1,100. Yep. She didn't live there. And when I did my last fat loss diet with Luke, I was doing on 2,300. Like, right. That is unspoken of for me. And here I was thinking my body was broken. I can't eat like her. I can't eat carbs because my body stores it in my belly because I'm such a small female. It's like, no, it's just you don't really zoom the fuck out and realize that this is a process. This is not something that ends in like 12 weeks. And that is actually something I wanted you to touch on at the beginning, which you can bring into the next part. We're humans, and for some weird reason, we can't see past the red lights just down the road. Like, we don't even try to think about where we're going next and where we're going next, which is a good thing. It's good because we need to focus on that road. But then we still do kind of think of it without thinking of it. Like, oh, but I can't do this forever. Oh, I need to just get it all done now. Oh, but then what if this happens? Oh, but I can't do this. We don't think about the fact, like, that can be taken so many ways if you try to listen to me in like 5 different mindsets of what I just said, because that was really warped. But we don't realize that we can actually do the fat loss for like, let's just say 12 weeks, come out of it for a while, go in again. But we only just see what's down the road in, I just want results in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We don't actually see that it actually is done in phases. And I really wanted to bring in the fact that you always talk about making shit so simple with the way that you frame your food as well. And the fact that you actually do get a little bit more flexibility, even though it shouldn't be too much, because flavor palatability, food palatability, making it really tasty actually can override your satiety signaling. But you can actually have a little bit more flexibility and enjoy life more when you go through these phases. So you will actually be able to do what PJ said and go hard out for the days that you need to go hard out, so that you can actually enjoy life more as well. It is not as tedious as we make it out to be. Tedious has time frames, and then it becomes less tedious for a while. And just touching on the calorie tracking part as well, I hardly even log into my app anymore, because I log into it like once a week, copy paste every single day, because I eat the same shit every single day. There was
dietary complexity. I have no idea why people want to get on Pinterest and find these 86 ingredient quote unquote healthy recipes that take 45 minutes to prepare. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to make cheesecake out of chicken and rice? Like, people try to do this, all this IIFY, and I love flexible dieting, but it's like people are coming up with these IIFYM recipes. It's like, first of all, anybody listening to this, the people that you see on Instagram who come up with these like a really elaborate, like tasty, macro friendly, whatever recipes, those people do not eat like that. Okay. They might do it for an Instagram post, make it. 90% of the time, they are doing your traditional, very basic, uniform, repeatable meals. So it's real simple. Base your diet, your fat loss diet, around about 8 to 10 total foods, literally. Okay. You can rotate new foods in and out as you want. Pick 4 protein sources, pick 4 sources of carbs. If you want to eat some dietary fat, pick a fat source or 2. From those 8 to 10 foods, you're going to create 3 to 5 foundational meals. You're going to have like 2 breakfast options and then 3 options that are interchangeable for lunch and dinner. Bam. Every meal, what's my protein source? What's my carb source? What seasoning am I going to use? What low or no calorie sauce or condiment am I going to use on this? Bingo. That's it. Like it's just single ingredient foods dominant in one macronutrient. Pick a carb, pick a protein, maybe pick a fat, season stuff differently, use different sauces and condiments and rubs and whatever else. And if you get sick of something, rotate in a new source. Like, and pre-logging your food the night before for the next day, then now you're not relying on the elusive willpower that everybody talks about, right? People that succeed with their fat loss and fitness, they don't have any more willpower than you do. They have structures and systems in place, and they hack things down and make it ridiculously simple. If you get in whatever nutrition tracking app you use the night before, spend 10 minutes. All right, what food do I have on hand in my refrigerator and pantry? And first of all, getting to the grocery store is something that nobody talks about. That's where it starts. It's like, if you don't have the stuff on hand, you're already set up for failure, right? So you literally sit down, what do I have on hand? Okay, get in your app, get the amount straight for the next day, 3 or 4 meals, boom. It's my calorie limit, my protein's good, cool. I'm set up, I'm ready to go tomorrow. It's that easy.
I love that, because you really don't need to make it any more complicated than it is. And just to give one last example to sum that up, for example, one of my clients, she went from just having like pumpkin and potato in her dinner in a fat loss phase to pasta. Like, it really is that simple, and everything else pretty much stayed the same because she plays around with her meals. You don't have to have your whole meal, like have a whole meal plan reorganized for you every single week. You just need to learn how to play with the basics, experiment a little, and not try to find a recipe for every single little thing that you do. I hate recipes.
So do I.
When I make recipes for my clients, I don't even put instructions on there. I'm like, ingredient, sub into your meal plans, play with it. What temperature? I don't know. Play with it. See what your oven does.
Yeah, I'm not a master chef. Like I'm not going to tell you how to use an oven, So it really is the dietary complexity. Oh, well, I'm bored with my food. Boring's good. Boring works. Boring is repeatable. Again, if you are nailing things and you keep it boring and basic, you're going to have great success, number one. And then again, you can have 4, maybe 5 days a month. Go out to a real restaurant with people that really know how to cook, have them do it for you, and eat some really great ass food, and then get back on your boring ass plan the next day. That's it. Like, I have no desire to spend 50 minutes making a meal, like, at all. I had a client the other day. Well, I think, I was thinking about maybe doing like Hello Fresh. I'm like, no, man. I'm like, you're going to spend an hour every night trying to cook that, and you're already complaining that you're busy and you got, kids to put to bed and homework to do and this and that. I'm like, just keep it simple. Like, get some pre-packaged chicken strips, some microwave rice packets, throw some hot sauce on it. You got a meal in 5 minutes. You can scan a barcode on all of those, throw a little bit on, throw the chicken on a food scale, 5 minutes, you got a meal. And like, that's it. Like, it's just structure equals freedom, period. Like,
it really is. Structure. What was the other thing? Wait, no. Structure equals, there was a word for it. It's when you have, that's it. Structure creates certainty. And when you have certainty, you have a lot more confidence in what you're doing. And I just want to sum up pretty much that whole thing with the fact that this is most of the time, this is most of your meals in a day. If you are planning ahead, if you are preparing ahead, you can actually plan backwards to allow in a dessert, which I always get my girls to like pick chocolate or ice cream or both, if they can moderate the amounts in small amounts, not just have like a big lot of ice cream and a big lot of chocolate. Like, pick what you want for dessert. If you don't want to eat it before bed, eat it in the middle of the day, eat it wherever you want, but I like it before bed because then you can just like shut the door on that, brush your teeth and go to bed, which works for a lot of the girls that usually just want to keep eating. But you can plan back from stuff like that. And if you actually have like a certain amount of carbs allocated to your dinner, that can easily be changed into like a big enough wrap to turn into a pizza, a big enough wrap to turn into 2 tacos. Like, you can be creative with the most basic shit when you want to be, and then when you can't be bothered, wrap it is, just eat a wrap. Like, versatile. Oh, well, I can't believe how fast time flew. Wow. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Ruby. That was fun. Thank you.
It really was. Is there anything else that you want to sum it up with because one thing I do love that you said, which I wrote down, is there are 2 periods where your training is the driving force of your body composition and the other is your nutrition. And I really wanted to hammer that home. But is there anything else that you want to sum up?
Going back to what we started with, if you're not going into a fat loss journey or a fitness journey with the idea that this is going to become a part of your identity and you're going to live a fitness lifestyle because it is a force multiplier in your life, in every area of your life. If you don't have that mindset going into this, you probably need to wait until you get to that point. Do not go into this with the finite beginning and end point diet just to lose 10 or 15 pounds for a beach vacation. Okay, because you're never going to upgrade, as you said, Ruby, your hardware. You're just not. And if you want to win this game, it's a long glacial process, and it's all about identity shift and habit systems.
I love that. It is identity shifting and habit systems, because you don't want to become the shell that loses the inner why because you haven't updated that hardware to match with you. And you don't want to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds heavier the next year because you want shit to happen yesterday. So get your expectations realistic.
Yes.
Yeah. So with that, I am going to put PJ's Instagram below. It's PJ Street and it's RIET. So you spell it the right way. And he also puts up some basic shit that makes you realize that it really isn't as complicated as Jenny, who's doing a bodybuilding comp, makes it seem, or Henry, who's trying to do some massive chicken McNugget fitness hack with 100 different ingredients. Like, keep shit as simple as you can so that you aren't stressing about how hard it has to be, how time consuming it has to be. And you will get that much closer in the grand scheme of things, the more patient you are.
Indeed. Well said.
Thank you for coming. And
thanks,
don't forget to share this podcast if you like it. Reach out to me if anything in here resonated with you. I honestly love talking to you guys in my messenger when you reach out and say that the podcasts are helping you. It honestly makes my day, and I will always go out of my way to thank you for it. And with that, I will see you, hear me on the next podcast.